Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Raices with your host. My name is Doug Gomez, and
My
we
name is
have
Antonio Ocasio.
a very special guest this week, Archie Burnett, known as a he's a cultural icon, New York City dance icon. Now we have someone from a different perspective of the New York underground, the global underground, the performance of dancing, and so it's really an honor to have someone of this stature on our show. Welcome, Archie. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, fellas.
Yes, Archie Burnett, an old friend. And definitely we want a different perspective of the house community. Because it's not only about DJs and producers. You know, without dancers, without people that go to the clubs, there is no party. You know, so
Right. Yeah.
Archie's been around a long time. I know him going back to the 70s, and we're gonna learn more about Archie. We're gonna learn about his journey and how he got to where he's at now. He's in a really beautiful place. I'm very proud of him, man. He's teaching classes. He's traveling all over. He's gonna tell you all about it. But yeah, go ahead, Doug.
So let's just start your upbringing. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? What got you into dance?
Well, the story is that I'm first generation West Indian American. You know, my parents are from Dominica, West Indies.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah. And
Nice
I was
island. Beautiful island.
for real. I mean, I haven't been back, that's another story, but
A lot of mountains.
So how old were you when you got to
when
New
I
York?
got here, I was 1 year and 8 months old, and I was born in Curacao.
Curaçao.
And from what my mom had told me at the time, I'd always been dancing to music since I was 3. So
I can believe that. I can believe that.
yeah.
I think it's something we're born with.
Yeah, she said, that's something I was always, running around. But here's the thing now, I was raised as a strict 7-day Adventist. And that's where
religion.
this thing came in, and don't get me wrong, peeps. I'm not down in religions. I'm just saying that I'm more spiritual than religious, only because there was a lot of contradictories growing up, and it created a lot of heat for me because I couldn't help liking what I liked. I love music. I love dance. And as far as at least the way my family people did it, that was taboo. I'm dancing to the devil's music. Why am I out there in the street? Devil will snatch me up and all that stuff. Listening to what she used to call that bongo, as in bongo drums, And I'm like, wow, Ma, for real. Dad was chill. He didn't really say much, but my mom was the one that kind of held the reins. So it's obvious when I found the underground, it was a wrap.
That was it.
It was a wrap. Because
So when did you find the underground? What year was this?
1980, actually. 1980. I found the underground 1980. Before that, I was doing other clubs, but that was the suit and tie thing, Leviticus,
Latin Times.
Exactly. Club Savage, the Copa, all of that stuff.
So what was the underground? What did you consider the underground that was different? What was the underground as opposed to the names you just mentioned right now?
I can tell you the underground was very come as you are. You didn't have to put on a pretense. You didn't have to wear a suit. You didn't have to, you didn't have to pick up girls if you didn't want to. You didn't have to pay money to like impress somebody if you didn't want to. It was like a really chill, different. It was just different because, it's not what everybody else was doing. In a sense, it was kind of elitist in a way, if you want to call it. Like minds find like, and we would go from different place to different place to different place, all through word of mouth through the underground. So say again.
So the 1980s. So that was pretty much the height. Well, yeah, I guess that's much the height of disco, but disco was still banging in the clubs pretty much. So
yeah, it was. I mean, look, we had different phases. In the 70s, I found hustle, and I found which was done to disco music, and I found Vogue in the 80s. And the only way you find that is if you're in these spaces where people just get down, and it's not necessarily they're trying to pick you up. No, it's like everybody was there for that music, that release. That's amazing. You know, I mean, I've never been to anything like that before, and I found the underground by accident.
Yeah, so that was my. How did so what? How did
that
you?
come about?
Yeah, how did that come about? Yeah, so that was my next question.
Well, I had a friend of mine. I thank him till today. His name is Eric Jeter. Eric Jeter. And Eric and I used to work at Cinema 5 Theaters, the Gramercy Theater, the one that's now, I forgot what they call it now, but it was on 23rd and Lex, that theater that's over there. And I used to work there. So this gentleman, what he did is he said to me, he said, listen, I know you like to party and go out to these after work things. He said, I got a club for you. I'm going to take you to a place called The Loft. I said, okay. And I worked in a movie theater. So usually the last shows are around 11 p.m. So we close up the movie theater. So it's around 12:30. He tells me, well, the spot opens at midnight. So in my head, I'm going, well, why would you go to a party and only stay for 2 hours? Because, you know, back in those days, legitimate parties supposedly only lasted till around 2. The commercial ones 2 or 4, because 2, they had to close the bar. And if they're closing the bar, they're not making any money. Party's over. So usually they would close it at 2. So I'm thinking, well, why would I go to a party at 12 and go to a party for 2 hours? It makes no sense. So I go. So when I go, you know, I get to 99 Prince Street. I see a whole bunch of people outside. You know, everybody's like basically, you know, baggy pants. We didn't have any like let's say yeah, you know the footwear was whatever you could get, but most people had sneakers. Some had the martial arts slippers. Some had wrestling shoes. You know, the Capizios. Like, if doing supposedly you got the Capizios. You went down to 50th. I still remember the place on 59th. You go down to 59th Capizio store and you buy a pair of white Capizios and you roll up in that bad boy. So I first go up the steps and then you go through the like the little vestibule there, and there's a jar of pennies. And I'm going, how many jars of pennies for? You know, so I get the thing to pay my money. They tell me it's $6.99. That's when I went. I went when it was $6.99. And I'm like, $6.99? Why'd you just call it $7? Why you got to take a penny? This is hilarious. It took me 45 years until somebody told me why it was $6.99. Unbelievable. It's right there in your face because the address was 99 Prince Street. Duh.
Yeah.
I'm going, unbelievable. So I go, and the first floor is all dark, and there are candles all around the place, and there's the mirror ball with the balloons all up in the ceiling. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. And David literally is on the floor. As soon as you come in, he's to your right, you know, on the floor. And kind of like he made like a booth, but, you know, and he's just standing, bless his heart. David stand there all night doing this.
Yeah.
Just rocking. Now the freaky thing is that, you know, he had this long hippie hair and he kind of looked like what people assume Jesus Christ looked like, right? So he's there doing this. Don't dance, not a lick, all night long like this. And then he's on his feet all night long. So I'm going, okay, this is really interesting. Then again, I made the assumption that it was a club.
Right.
It was not a club.
Never. It was never a club. Ever.
And how I found that out by accident is that, you know, when he played the first few records that was there, I noticed that he didn't mix anything, and it went from the beginning to the end. And then what really freaked me out was people were
clapping after every song.
I'm going,
especially if it was good. It was like, rah!
Exactly.
If it moved everybody, forget it.
For real. And I'm going, what is this?
And this was his home. It wasn't a club. It was his home.
Had no idea because his bedroom was upstairs. I had no idea. So now that's the first impression. Then I go downstairs. Then it was a wrap.
Oh, the serious dance was down there.
because downstairs was mayhem. I mean, people jumping and leaping all over the place. And till today, I cannot dance the full song of the X medley. If you guys collected music, you know what I'm talking about. Work, Pooch. Tell it, Pooch. That trick, that song starts out with squib cakes. Then it goes into, I think, no, at midnight. Sorry, it starts out at midnight. Then it goes to, I think, squib cakes. No, Tower of Power. No, squib cakes, then Tower of Power. And I'm telling you, Francois K did that mix. Till today, that thing is a classic. And there was obviously a lot of scandal behind that because it wasn't supposed to be released and ended up getting a boot, you know, all of that stuff. But still, that track there, it's amazing. It's the music, Doug. That music.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable. And it would be a weird thing like you would play, if you're listening to the radio, which most people did, you'd hear what the radios push. But you hear the other stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know what? Once in a while, real quick, like I remember one time at the Loft, because one of the records they were playing on the radio was Situation by Yaz. One time David was playing a mix. I'm like, so after he played, I was like, Dave, what mix is that? I thought it was like some special mix. He was like, it was side B. It was a side B mix, bro. This is David, you know? And that's how I learned, yo, you got to listen to all the mixes, you know?
Unbelievable. Who would ever think that?
It was like going to school, man. It was like going to school, I'm telling you.
I'm glad he said that because I called the Loft a music appreciation course.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things I never would have even looked at or even listened to if I hadn't been there. There's one crazy bug out record that will make people go, huh? He used to play this record called Oh Superman by Laurie Anderson.
I don't remember.
And he would go, oh, Superman. Like, yo, what is he doing?
That's the shit, bro. That's the shit that blows people's minds, is, you know.
Until today, I love the song now. It's amazing because that's something that I never would have approached at all, you know? And then, like I was saying before, when we get so into it, I have a collection right now of all of the tracks and songs that we used to dance to because it's so infectious. We needed that. We needed to get the vinyl, to keep the vinyl, you know? And I have Martin Circus. I have all of these other tracks. They're original when they came out.
Yeah,
actual cut right there.
Did you ever try DJing as well?
Yes, I did. I DJed at this place called. You're gonna laugh, Antonio. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this. But it was in New Lots area. That's considered in Brooklyn, Brownsville. No, yeah, Brownsville. There was a place called The Arrangement. Omar Kataskila and myself and another cat, we were spinning at this little dive that we tried to create in Brooklyn called The Arrangement.
How long ago was this?
Oh my God, that had to be 81.
Wow.
That had to be 81. That had to be 81.
But let me say what I remember about you at the Loft. I remember seeing this guy, Doug. This dude was like, I mean, he stays in shape. All his life he's been in shape. But when you talking about like 80, 81, the dude was diesel.
Yo.
And you're tall. How tall are you, bro? How tall are you? You're pretty tall. You stand out.
I'm 6'4". I'm 6'4".
6'4", powerhouse. And then he was doing this dance. I was like, at the time, I know it was Vogue. And then when I learned it was Vogue, I'm like, but it's like he's doing his own style of Vogue. He had his own shit going on, man. And at places like the Loft, you could do whatever you wanted. You know what I mean? So it was like part Vogue and part his own thing.
Yep.
You know, he created his own thing, you know? Right. And I used to just love watching you dance.
Yo, because let me tell you something.
You had your own thing. Yo,
you're like,
I know.
And the funniest thing is everybody knew because, you know, we were loud back then. Nobody party. These kids, they party. They don't say nothing. How you not saying nothing? I'm the guy that's going, that's me. Throughout the whole party.
Yo, there was this one guy, Doug. That brother's still alive today. You know who I'm talking about. Yep. Right? He go around the club saying, come on. Like you be like this tight. Come on, get up. That's all he did all night around the club.
His
Lord.
name.
Get up! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Come on! Get up! That's all he would do.
Yep. Don't stop! Don't stop!
Don't stop! Don't stop! Don't stop!
David. His name is David also, actually.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I'm like, wow, look at this. You know?
Belgian, right?
But you know, those days, it was amazing. You know what? We would dance so much that most of us didn't have any fat on our bodies at all. We were like skinny like that because once you go in, yeah, you got pictures, right?
I got pictures. I was cut up too, man.
Yep, like
I didn't know that. Yeah, you left it all on the dance floor.
For real. I used to have this joke. I used to say, I look so good, I would have dated me. How about that?
So how do you, Archie, how do you go this journey from dancing at the loft for 8 hours to like, you know, you teaching classes, you teaching different styles of dancing all over the world?
Well, it was a really weird thing. What happened? Because, okay, simultaneously, I'm going to the loft, right? So this is 80, 81. But I'm still going to art school because not many people know I'm an artist. You know?
Oh, hold on, stop. I mentioned to a friend today, Karen, that you was gonna be on our show, and she said we went to art class in high school.
Oh my God!
Yeah, she said you was a senior, she was a sophomore, y'all was in the same
Erasmus. That was in Erasmus,
right? That's what she said.
Goodness. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
What part of New York did you grow up in?
I grew up in Crown Heights, Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been there since 1965.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No. That because that plays into this because what happened was at the same time I'm going to School of Visual Arts. So in School of Visual Arts, I end up taking a course because you know I hated history because if it ain't got nothing to do with me, I'm like, eh. So I hated that thing. So I had to take a course, right? So I see an elective called Black Dance History. So me being silly in myself, I'm saying, oh, I'm Black. So, hey, let me take that, right? I take the class like if I knew anything about history, right? So at the time, so this little white lady comes across and I'm looking at her like, Black Dance History.
White lady.
You know, so then first thing I'm thinking in mind, I already have these preconceived ideas. Yo, you know what she did? She put the monitor on this table. And I swear to you, the first thing she played to show the class was when James Brown was on the Ed Sullivan Show. Do y'all remember that?
Yes.
Ed Sullivan Show. I wasn't happily interested. I got up like this. And now I'm sitting up. Then she shows me, the whole class rather, the Berry brothers. They showed the Clark brothers, the Nicholas brothers, all the tap dancers from back then. And then now I'm interested. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So me being lazy as usual, I was trying to fail the class, right? You know, because I'm like, yeah. Because, you know, it was interesting, but the fact that I got to do the history thing was kind of bugging me out. So she decides to speak about the socials that where dance is born and music and all of this stuff. So she starts naming places like Xenon, Studio 54,
wow,
Regine's, and I'm doing this. So she visually sees me do that, and she goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, excuse me, Miss Summer, but you going to the wrong clubs."
Oh.
In the whole class. I said it in front of the whole class. And she said, "Oh, really?" I said, because what you're mentioning, that ain't it. So immediately she goes like this, "Okay, take me." I went, "Huh?" "Yeah, take me." So now I'm like, yeah, I took it to the loft. I didn't know that she only lived a few blocks around the loft, you know? So here she comes. I'm there at midnight. Here she come walking up the block. I'm like, oh, shit, she's coming. You know? I bring her in. She sees what I described upstairs. Then she goes downstairs, and it blew her mind. So how this led to me teaching is that Check Your Body at the Door, the documentary that she's the executive producer of, it started there. That was the impetus to make her do that.
Wow. So
Then,
she got lofted. She got
lofted out big time.
That's a big jump though, because we're kind of skipping the whole 80s. Because that Check Your Body came out like in the early 90s, right? 90.
Yo, that took 20 years to do.
Yeah.
It took 20 years because we didn't have money back then. We had to go from one grant to the next grant to the next grant.
That takes time.
Grant. It finally was finished in 2012, but that thing started 1991.
Right, but my point is, I don't want to skip, because now we're jumping from 80 to 91, but we're missing the whole 80s of your life story.
Well,
yeah, we're jumping way too, because there's a lot of stuff in between that before you start teaching.
So in the 80s.
So you go to the law for the first time.
Right.
You see this crazy dance. Everybody, I guess, was it called lofting back then?
No, there was no such thing.
There was no name.
What we used to say, do that shit. That's what we used to say.
Hit the deck.
Hit the deck.
To be flying and shit.
And we would say, loft it out, baby. Yep. Do that shit. That's what we used to say.
Yeah.
So from there, the first time you kept on going.
I went religiously every week. I got
weekend
for that. I got heat for
years, for years.
Because let me tell you, because being raised as Seventh-day Adventists, for them, their Sabbath is on Saturday, and the loft opens midnight Saturday night. And, for them, at least my people, the way they do it, they're like, So I got a lot of heat from that. And back in those days, people used to smoke in the club a lot. So when you leave, you're smelling like the club. So you coming home, and apparently your mom's smelling you, they're like spraying you with Lysol, talking about.
Yo, people used to change up at the loft. People used to bring their clothes to change and clean up in the bathroom, change clothes.
Looking fresher than they came in, trust. I was like, yo. So religiously, in the 80s, every weekend, every week. And then it got so dope that Divine Ellison decided, I don't know how he made this agreement with the eatery right down the block, the Greasy Spoon, we used to call it. And he would set up turntables in the Greasy Spoon. So after we went from the loft, we go over to the Greasy Spoon and continue to party.
Wow.
Have breakfast. And the guy was smart because he figured, if these kids come in here and they're coming from the club, they're coming in from the club, they're going to have breakfast, and they spin music, and people are hearing the music maybe from the outside, they're going to attract business. And it worked for many years, many years.
Okay. So I read that around 81, you met Willie Ninja.
Mm-hmm. And that was a funny story. Oh my God.
So was and that he was, of course, the people that don't know, Willie Ninja was he was the one that started House of Ninja, correct?
Absolutely. He was the mother of the house. I was the father.
So was he
the grandfather now? So
right. So you're the grandfather now. Was he, when you met him, was House of Ninja already established?
No.
Yeah, it wasn't established. So tell us about how you met Ninja and how did that come about?
Yeah. Good.
Well, after these parties, and this is like 1981, because 81, 82, everybody would go to Washington Square Park. So all of the clubs that were around at the time that were after hours, they let out and everybody went to Washington Square Park.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to be politically correct for this part because this is the truth. I got to tell the truth on this part. So in Washington Square Park, there were different ways to come into the park, like different, I would like to call them alleyways, where they have the benches. Mm-hmm. One where the lesbians were, we used to call that Lesbo Row. Where the gay boys were, we used to call that, Fag Alley. Where the drug dealers were, we used to call that the drug den, So we would get towards like where the gay kids were, and they would always be carrying on and voguing and so on and this and the other. So Willie used to do this thing. He used to put his finger in your face like this. And I said, and we just coming from the club, we all partying and sharing and blah, blah. So I said, you know what? I don't know what it is about you I like, but dude, if you keep doing that one more time, I'm gonna break your damn finger. And ever since then, we were friends. It was the weirdest thing. So then he introduced me to all the other clubs that I did not know about. And I was like, yo, this is here, this is there. Because back in those days, everything was word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No
either word of
No flyers, none of that shit.
none of that. No,
Internet.
no. I mean, Willie took me to some places that had me like, oh. I mean, I went to the Cock Ring once. I went to Crisco's, and that one freaked me out.
Disco.
I was like, you know, I was naive. I'm like, wow. Because, I came from School of Visual Arts. And what's reminding me of that is the Keith Haring paintings you have behind you. You know, in School of Visual Arts, we used to do this thing about blowing up miniature things for like a big poster wall. And they would do it in such a way that they would draw a grid and take the same grid, put it on the image that you're going to transfer and see where it lands within that box. That's how you make sure that your images are to scale. So I was fascinated that, oh, wow, a Crisco can. And this can was huge. This can was like from the floor almost to the ceiling. And at the very top. Yep, exactly. Exactly.
It's crazy.
And I'm going, and there's a DJ on top of the can.
I never been there. I heard of that. I knew about
it. I saw a picture of that Crisco can. I was like, what?
Crisco Disco, right?
You know what? And I was so naive. I'm going, why a Crisco can? Needless to say, I found out later why. But you know, but I was fascinated with that. Next minute, there was, now I'm going to rattle them off. G&G Barnum, the Peppermint Lounge, Ice Palace, Ipanema, Roseland, Gotham's West, Ones, Club Sauvage, Electric Circus. Electric Circus used to be on St. Mark's Place, and it had a 3-ring circus in that bad boy.
Electric Circus, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All of these places you can find same pictures on the net. The Saint, okay, I think Grasso used to play at the Saint. I really didn't dig the music that much, but when you go in there, it was the like, you've been to the Hayden Planetarium. It had one of those projectors that projected the stars on the ceiling. It was the craziest thing, you know? All of that time, then I think that's when the 80s, then punk came in. And you had places like the Mud Club. Yeah, baby. CBGB's, the Mud Club. We did it all. Because all we wanted to do was a party, man. Dance
you have to go at least once to each club. You have to experience the clubs at least once.
Absolutely. Private Eyes. I did Private Eyes. You know, and then yeah, you still had like the in between clubs like Nell's.
Because in the Plato's Retreat.
You know what? I never went.
I heard the stories.
I was so tempted about that green room. I heard about that green room, but I did do what was close was Peppermint Lounge, because what Peppermint Lounge had, they had trapeze, cats on the trapeze above you, like doing trapeze stuff with a net and all of that stuff. I'm like, they don't make clubs like that anymore. No. At all. And the music.
How about the fun house with the clown and the DJ was inside the mouth of the clown? That was crazy.
You know, that was kind of freaky. That was kind of freaky. And the funniest thing is that each one of these places had a particular clientele, like a particular sound. Because like, you know, 1018 had a particular sound, which obviously was the Roxy, but you didn't know that then. Webster Hall before was the Ritz, you know, and they would slam dance in there. I want to be sedated. Oh. We did it all. And then if you go downtown, like where David later on had the loft, like around Avenue A, there was a spot called the Pyramid Club.
Yeah. I think it recently closed.
Oh,
I remember the Pyramid, yeah.
Recently. I think I read something.
Was that on Houston?
No, it was like on
Avenue A. I think it was Avenue A.
Avenue A around 5th Street or 3rd Street, something around there.
Yeah, 90-something Avenue A or but the great thing is that they still have all of the information, you know, online, because this just brings back all of those memories of doing the 80s, because the 80s was about everybody going everywhere. And obviously, we all were doing, I mean, retro clothing was in back then. Everybody would be shopping at either Canal Jeans, Reminiscence.
Jeans.
Archie, real quick, what was your experience like with Willie Ninja? How was
Amazing. Willie, we hit it off right away. We became family. You know, I ended up taking care of his mom. You know,
Rest in peace.
Until she, passed on. Willie was the most
icon. He's an icon.
No, he's an icon. Let me tell you, Willie was the most funny, amazing, and natural talent that there ever was. He was natural. Yeah. He didn't like to get into that shady stuff, that reading stuff. He could read though, but he didn't want to get into all of that stuff. And I think because of his amazing personality, when he got involved with Patricia Fields, she had access to a certain clientele. She introduced Willie to that clientele. Once that clientele saw, and if you knew Willie and you saw him do what he did, the talent would just draw you in like a magnet.
Yeah, because didn't he teach models how to walk and stuff like that?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, right. I was on a panel with him when we did Maestro. I was on a panel with him, so I got to talk to him a little bit.
He taught.
Very nice person.
Yeah, very nice. And his dossier was just even. He taught Paris.
I still have the card, his business card that he gave me.
You do? Wait,
yeah,
Eon, the one that says Eon?
I have to look. I have to find it, but I know I have it though.
That's dope. He taught many people. He taught Patricia Hearst's daughter, Lydia Hearst. He even taught Naomi. He taught
yeah, I heard he taught a lot of these models how to walk.
Yeah, he did. He did. And one thing led to another. So Malcolm McLaren doing the first Vogue video that was called Vogue video, was deep in Vogue a whole year before Madonna. Then because people were trying to use a little bit of it in different places, like my brother-in-law Tyrone, rest in peace, Tyrone Proctor. Yes, he used a little bit of it in Jody Watley's video called Friends. Friends will let you down, friends.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw it in there. Obviously, it was like a jumble of movement. It wasn't specific.
Let me ask you about voguing. When you met Willie, were you voguing yourself?
No. When I met Willie, I was lofting it out, and I had the physique. So what happened was, after we were hanging out in the park, then we ended up going to different clubs, and I would see him at Tracks, and David DePino was playing at Tracks. So, I said, oh shoot, Willie's here. And we just hit it off. Now that's when I first got to see it all in action at Tracks. And I was like, wow. But back in those days was the old way. And the old way is basically a form that was martial arts influenced, hieroglyphics influenced, and military influenced, with pictures and poses. So I already had this physique. So I'm looking at the thing and I'm trying to catch what they're doing. So then this was the funniest thing. And you can see it on a video that's on YouTube of Wigstock, 1998. I know that's the 90s, but Willie even says it on there. So I'm, since I was lifting, because doing all that dancing, I just about had no fat. So, I was lifting weights. So I was an avid bodybuilder to watch. So I'm watching a bodybuilding competition one day and I'm going, wait a minute. That's the pose down, right? They look like they're voguing. For real. So I decided to try to see if I can mix bodybuilding with Vogue. So, I called it, bodybuilding Vogue, like bodybuilding Vogue. And I started to do that, So when a lot of cats met me, I was bollock and going bam, bam, bam.
Yeah,
bam,
yeah,
bam.
that's what I know.
And they were going, I never seen that before.
Word.
Wow.
So if any claim to fame, if anything, that form of Vogue, I did. But the catch is this: you're influenced by what you see. Like for instance, when I saw all those tap dancers and stuff like that, how I use my hands is from the Nicholas brothers. I got really influenced by that. A lot of the guys that when they were dancing in the club and so on, you see them doing all those dives and so on. Some were gymnasts, some were not. Some were self-taught, some were not. The club was a classroom. You did everything, fail, good, bad, boom, there.
More into martial arts.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing like roundhouse. Some of them was into capoeira. They would be doing capoeira into their dance.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
So that's why we can't say that lofting is a style. I think it's an approach. You know, I think it's an approach to how you dance, because all those cats that were crazy and all of that, they got all smoothed out when they got to the loft.
Yep.
It was about the flow, you know?
Yo, and that's what I'll be telling people about the difference between dances at the loft and everywhere else. I'm telling you, like, it was, you know, the people that dance that way, the men and women that dance that way, they had such, it was a flow and it was a grace. So they would do like something amazing, Douglas, but then it was so graceful, man. And he made it look easy. It was like crazy, difficult. Like, how did he make his body like that? And it was like, they made it look easy and was so graceful, man. I've never seen dances like that. Like from the loft, to me, they were the best dancers out of any club ever.
Now, here's the funny thing. You don't hear anybody running around saying, hey, they're garaging. No, they don't say. You know, anytime like those cats would go into Bonds International, which is another club, they're the loft guys.
I know people real quick that religiously went to the garage that could dance. And when they went to the loft, they were like, whoa, I need to take my game up, man. Yo, there was some amazing. I used to go and sometimes just watch people dance, man.
And you know,
just watch people dance. And that would be my night sometimes.
Oh my God. You just remind me so much. And literally, Doug, it was a come as you are party. It didn't matter. There was a guy, you could tell he was one of the Chelsea boys. He would stay in the basement or up on the floor and just do a two-step all night long. He had one of those caps and he would just do a two-step.
Yeah.
All night long. Happy as forever.
Yeah.
It was a come as you are. It didn't matter.
It didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. Whatever.
Exactly.
So when you started, voguing, that was what year? Around 80 mid 80s when you had
82 to 82 is when I met Willie. Shortly after that, that's when I started voguing, and I kept doing it till now.
Y'all went to competitions and stuff?
And then he formed the House of Ninja around that time.
Around 83, 84. This is what happened. You know, I entered my
Because my next question is going to go did you get involved with Willie in the ball scene?
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to explain how that one happened, because back in those days, since I had the body, I was stripping. I was making extra money. So Willie tells me about this ball. So I go. And I still have the 2 trophies here, actually. It's Paris is Burning 5 by Paris Dupree. And it was 1985. And I got grand prize for model's body and runner-up for bodybuilder's body. It was the funniest thing. I just went to the ball and was like, come to the ball, come. I come to the ball. And since I was stripping anyway, so I said, I just took off my clothes and whoop, went up on stage. And Paris was funny. He grabs my thigh like this.
Ooh.
And then I got the trophy.
Yo, Douglas, this brother had a body of a god, bro.
Yeah, I've seen the videos. I think one of my favorite videos of you dancing was the one check your body at the door. You were amazing.
Yeah. And
that was already 90. That was already 90s.
I catch it. And all that was dancing every night and doing the gym twice a day. That's all that was.
Twice a day.
Yeah, no drugs, split routine. You know, back and bicep, chest and tries, shoulders and legs, then back and biceps, chest and tries, and then Sunday, nothing.
Let me ask you, did you have any involvement in the movie Paris is Burning?
No. I knew Jenny Livingston really well. When they filmed that day, I wasn't around.
Wow.
No, that wasn't around. And the funny thing is, you know, a lot of people have a lot of controversies about that. About they made all of us look like we were doing this and doing that. All I can say is this: you know, you never deny your past. Just because that's where you were, does not mean that's where you're going to be and you're going to stay like that.
Exactly.
Right.
So if it weren't for Jenny doing that, y'all wouldn't have done that on yourselves. When? How? And that's just a fact. That was a catalyst. Everybody can go back now and, oh yeah, we'll criticize this, criticize that. No shade. That's how your cats were living.
And then and they also the biggest gripe I heard, nobody got paid as well. And
see, now with that, it's about licensing. It was a documentary. Miramax picked that up, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff in there. So I guess they figure, well, listen, Miramax picked that up. You did the documentary. Everybody signed a release. The least you could have done is give us some coins. And apparently she did. But I guess it wasn't enough. So, you know.
It's an amazing documentary. Everybody who's involved in dance music needs to watch.
Yeah. Check about it.
A friend of mine was in that. He had several scenes in there. A friend of mine. He passed away young. He died young.
See, and that's another thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, Antonio, because we have to also say in this interview here, in the 80s was the height of that whole AIDS crisis. A lot of our friends are not here anymore. It like came in and wiped out a whole population.
A lot of people from that documentary alone are gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. You know, because when you're young, you're standing there, we're all supposed to grow old together, you know? You don't think of your man or your girl over here like we're here today, and the next minute, oh shoot, you gone? That kind of shakes you, you know? And plus, the drug game was really in the 80s. It was we had one cat that used to run around the loft. I won't say his name, but you know who it is when he goes, Dusty's the best. Dusty's the best. Dusty's the best.
Got that leak, y'all. Yo, David didn't like that shit though.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
I know some people that was trying to sell it, dust in there, and they got banned. I know a couple of brothers that got banned for getting caught.
Good.
They found out they were selling dust, and then they got. David didn't like that, man.
We have to say rest in peace, David Mancuso.
Yes.
He did so much for so many, and most humble fella.
Yeah.
And he would say, "No, I didn't do anything." That's how he was. No, I didn't do anything. I just, how did he say it? I just play the records. Like, okay.
Yeah, but just even in the approach that he had.
Come on with it.
In respect to the producer, playing a record from beginning to end. And the reason he did it was because if you did a record that Douglas, and he was playing it, he wanted people to hear it the way you did it. And he didn't want anybody to miss anything that you did intentionally on that song. And that was his approach. You know, he wanted people to hear what the producer did from beginning to end. And then I took that a step further because I play records for the most part beginning to end also, but I do mix. But my thing is, if it ain't good beginning to end, I don't even want it in my collection. There's records that are good, you know, for 3 minutes of the song, and then it goes this way, and it's just.
I have a little David Mancuso story. It's funny. Early 2000, 2001, I don't remember. We had an argument online, David Mancuso and I, on Deep House page. I don't know if you know that was.
Yeah,
that website was all drama.
Oh God.
So it was about party names because we were doing a party called Loose Joints, and he didn't like the name. Because Loose Joints goes back to the
right.
So we got into it, and I'm like, dude, you taking an image from the Little Rascals and making it your own. So what's the difference? So
I'm curious. What did he say?
I don't remember what he said, but the good thing on David Mancuso, he squashed it. And the way he squashed it, he sent me an invite to the law.
That's good.
And we went to my wife and I went to the law, and we killed that.
Oh wow!
But that's the way he was. Yeah, that's how we squashed it.
That's classy because you did bring up a point. You did bring up a point.
Yeah. So
You know?
but it's
But
history that. So let me ask you this. So you're voguing. I guess you're big in the underground by like the late '80s. You're well known as a voguer, correct?
Well, here's the funny thing. I think I was known because of there were two aspects of my body that were totally different. People my height, that muscular, don't dance like that, don't move like that. So that already stood out. And plus, I had a sick haircut back then.
Yeah, you had like a not a fade, like a almost like So
and the story behind that was even funny too.
So what did you think about the whole Madonna thing in the Vogue?
Okay, I tell everybody.
Because we gotta hear it from the Voguers themselves.
That's right.
A lot of different
Right, Doug. You're right, Doug.
Well, here's the truth now. Madonna never said she invented that shit.
Right.
She never said that. Now, I tell people this all the time. You can't blame somebody for their beginning. Like, for instance, there's a lot of people in the Midwest, they know that stuff did not exist until they saw Madonna. So automatically they're thinking, it starts with her for me, you know? Point of fact is, of course it didn't. Little story, she wanted Willie to be part of that whole troupe, but Willie was already signed to Malcolm McLaren. And Willie had done that a whole year before.
Yeah.
With Malcolm McLaren.
Right. Like Vogue, what was the name of the record? Vogue, what is it?
It's called Deep in Vogue. He did that a whole year before. Now, here's the thing. At least what Madonna did is go into the community and take Jose and Louis to go ahead and do her or have them teach her on the spot. Because trust me, she was not wrong.
People could say the same thing about Malcolm McLaren. If you look online, you'll find how Malcolm, and there's proof that he actually took black music from the islands, and
I saw that.
You saw it, right?
So from Africa too.
Yeah, so he took music
tribes in Africa.
So people could say the same thing about Malcolm, that he took other people's music and black music, and so it's
always about the other though. In this life on earth, it's always been about the other. You know, people who live in the country. Oh, it's kind of boring, man. I like a little excitement. I'd like to know what is in the city. People in the city. Oh, this is too crazy. I need to calm down. It's always been about sharing and about the other. Now, I do think that when somebody, let's say, takes from those who have, or rather those who don't, and then profits off of that, you know, there's a difference there, because you're just taking, you're not giving anything back. I mean, that's the whole idea of consumerism, right? But you know, ethics is like this. Don't take from those who don't have.
Right.
You know, at least if you're going to be
law, man. It's an unwritten law, you know?
That's what I would think. We all know it's the law of the street. You don't do that.
I'm with you.
You don't do that.
I'm with you, man.
You get, excuse my French, you get that ass handed to you. No, you don't do that. But here's the thing. So I can't really hate Madonna for that. No, I can't. So I tell people this: look at things for what they are. If you're introduced to something through, let's say, okay, a lot of these kids are introduced to dance through videos. After the 90s, like after the 90s, Marjorie and all those cats started to do videos, they were interested. Oh, wow, videos. So all they did, their first introduction is practicing steps from the videos. So that if they're even going to clubs, they're doing what they're doing in the videos. It's not reflective of what's happening in the club.
Right.
It's just reflective of their influence from what they get. It's not a bad thing, you know. It's just
like you said, she didn't say she invented Vogue. She just commercialized it. Really, she took it to another level.
Well, people have to understand, she does that and did that with anything. It was not that it was that super special to her, you know. You know, when she did like a prayer, burning a cross and all of that stuff, people were losing their mind. Diana Ross said one thing that was most important. Diana Ross said, at least they talk about you, whether it's good or bad. At least they talk about you. And I must admit, Madonna is a genius at using the media. a genius.
Yeah.
I mean, she had the right connection. She connected with the right people from the early career, from Jelly Bean to all these guys. She.
That's right.
So let me. So next. So let me ask you this now: Breed of Motion.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Yeah, boy. So here we are, Tyrone Proctor, myself. Originally, Breed of Motion was 11 people.
Wow, really?
Yeah, yeah. Dennis Rodriguez, Little Junie. Well, Dennis Rodriguez, I'll say R.I.P. Little Junie, Brucey was his name. We used to call him Brucey because he loved Bruce Lee. Javier Izquierdo, myself, Stephen Enrique, Brahms of Fortune, Aubrey Garner, Irena Herrera, because we did a few shows at the Pyramid Club with Irena Herrera. Benjamin Harris.
Was Willie part of it?
Oh, yeah, I was getting to him. Benjamin Harris, Willie Ninja, and I'm missing one more person.
Yourself.
Oh, me. That's right. Thank you. There you go. Thanks.
So what was Breed of Motion? Was it a dance troupe?
Yeah, it was a dance troupe. And then Tyrone was the one that suggested we start singing. And I was
now, let me ask you something real quick about Tyrone. Was he an original Soul Train dancer?
He was the original Soul Train dancer.
Yeah, for the people who don't know, I think there's video on YouTube of him
hell yeah.
from Soul Train.
Oh, hell yeah.
And he passed away, what, like 10 years ago or something like that?
Oh, he just passed away over a year ago.
Just a year ago?
June 5th, yeah.
Wow, I thought it was...
Yeah, yeah. He, you know, that's my brother-in-law. I married his sister. So...
Wow.
Yeah. And, you know, Tyrone did a lot for the scene. He did a lot. You know?
So he was the one that said, let's sing. Let's make it a dance. Let's make it a dance group.
He said, let's start singing. Because originally, before Breed of Motion, we would call Video Pretenders. And how that was is that we would get the latest video that was out. When Michael Jackson had Beat It and stuff out like that, I would get guys dressed in the exact same outfits, and we would rehearse the choreography, just like Rocky Horror Picture Show. And we would put the video on, and we would dance on the stage with the video behind us, and we would do everything exactly in the same thing, you know, the same choreography. So that's what we did before. And then we decided, you know, yeah, well, it didn't work out because the guy kind of shifted us with the money to do that. So we said, well, you know, we'll just do our little dance group. And then it's Stephen Enrique's mom who said, you know, the way you guys dance, you dance like you are your own breed, you know. It's like you guys are your own breed of motion. And then went, oh shit. Oh, Breed of Motion. There you go.
It's a nice name.
That's how we got the name. You know.
So you have a first single. So
yeah, and
what was it called? Gotta Dance.
Gotta Dance. Now, once again, Tyrone is magical. Tyrone is the one who found Blaze.
So Blaze produced that?
Blaze produced that.
Because I was gonna ask, because I couldn't find no info on who produced Gotta Dance.
Blaze.
And it sounded up in this, and I don't think it came out as a single. It came out as on a compilation.
Came out on an EP.
And I'm like, I couldn't find any info, but when you hear it with the rest of the compilation, it's so part of what was going on at the time.
Exactly.
It sounded very Blaze. It sounded like Love Fixation. It had that Paradise Garage sound. I was like, but who produced it? I could not find the information.
And you want to hear something funny? I'm the guy that did the album cover.
Wow.
I still have it here.
And how come it didn't come as a single?
No, he did it only as an EP.
Let's see the album cover. Let's see the album cover.
Oh, you should have told me before, because it's deep in my closet over here.
So it didn't come out as a single. So why didn't it come out as a single though? Why didn't they put it out as a single? It's a nice record, man. For the time, it was with the times. It was.
I don't know. You got to ask Kevin Hedge, because Kevin Hedge, Josh Milan, and Chris Herbert.
So they own the record. They own the rights.
That was Blaze. Yeah, they did.
Okay.
That
so
was
they own the record.
But we were just so lucky to do that. And then the second version of that was done by Marshall Jefferson.
Wow. Yeah,
that's on you can see that. That's on
was that called also Gotta Dance? Or because I saw a video of you guys dancing. There was
That one
another.
was Emotion. I wrote that one.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
So you have like 2 singles. There were like 2 songs. Wow.
It was so funny because when we did we did the back in those days they did the music the Winter Music Conference and so on, and we did it at the Tunnel. And this was so funny. On that bill was everybody, man. Liz Torres was on that bill. Marshall Jefferson was on that bill. In Touch was on that bill. So the joke was we opened up for the show, right? So at that time we didn't have a deal. And the song Breed of Motion that I wrote was produced by Strafe, the same guy that did Set It Off. So we didn't have a deal. We go on first and we're tearing it up. Marshall Jefferson, I love him today. He's hilarious. He goes, yo, how am I supposed to follow that? I'm laughing because you got the hit. We don't have the hit. We have the visual. We don't have the hit, you know. But that day was the most fun day. And that I have a recording of that too. Wow. You know, so I'm going to share all of this stuff with you guys later on, because had I prepared all of that, I would have like, here, click, look, here, click, look.
So you got to perform at a lot of clubs. I saw a flyer for Zanzibar too.
Oh,
you got Larry Patterson.
1985, baby, 1985.
I saw Larry Patterson on the bill too. So Breed of Motion was that early? 1985 is when you formed. When did it form?
Yeah, we performed all over the place. We performed there. We performed in the Bronx. We performed. We performed our best and most fun performance was at the Cat Club. The Cat Club was owned
that the one in the 70s?
Yeah.
What street was that on the 70s? Yeah, it goes down.
No, that was like off of University and 13th Street.
Oh, okay.
That club, I think it was between Broadway and University, on 13th. That club, there was a guy by the name of Don Hill. And if you look him up, he was so amazing for the rock scene and all of that. Yeah. And I had a good friend of mine, still do, Angel Ferreira. Angel Ferreira ended up being the lead in Vanessa Williams' Right Stuff video. You got the right stuff. And Coca-Cola signed him, catch it, a Latino signed him on this big mega deal for Virgin Records, doing Coca-Cola Classic. He's amazing. You know?
Don Hill had a club too, right, on the west side?
Yes, called Don Hills.
Yeah.
Called Don Hills. Off of Springs.
I like that place. I like that.
Yeah, I went to, you know what's funny about that place? I went to check out, you know, back then, the maybe late 90s, early 2000s, dance tracks. We used to go buy records at dance tracks, and Stefan gives me a flyer. He said, yo, come check out, come party. And it was, he was playing a party at Don Hill. So I said, hey, we go there to Don Hill on the west side, and wow, it was like,
Doug, I'm telling you, he was the coolest dude, the coolest. How Breed of Motion ended up performing in there is we just do what we do, Antonio. So Angel Ferreira was performing, right? He was on stage, everybody's watching, and it's a club. Look, we're kids from the club, man. We don't keep quiet. We're like, work, get it, ow, you better do that shit. Da, da, da. So, after the party, or rather the cabaret, then they put on the DJ. It's a wrap. Now Willie's voguing. We're doing runway. We're lofting it out. We're doing all that. The audience is like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Don Hill is smart because Don Hill sees all the energy and all the attention that's happening there. So then Angel Ferreira comes out. He says, yo, guys, who are you? Wow. So we take him around to the loft in the garage and places like that afterwards. This was 1986, So then after that, he goes, listen, Don, can I put these guys here? Don, he go. And that's how I have that video, which I'm going to share with you guys later also, of us doing a piece called Shma Shma.
Wow.
And that was off of
so you was off and running, Archie. From the moment you got introduced to the underground, you was off and running. You never stopped to this day.
How was that experience? How was the Zanzibar? How was that experience performing at Zanzibar?
Let me tell you something. Back in the day, before it was the Welfare Hotel, Zanzibar had the hotel next to it had a doorway that you can go in to the actual dance space. It was kind of like going to be considered like the garage of New Jersey, you know. We performed there with Strafe also. And it was great until, you know, the later years where it started to get run down and they didn't really take care of it and so on. But before, it was great. Great. Club USA was good. 88 Evergreen in New Jersey. We also performed there. That was great.
You performed at Club USA?
No, Party at Club USA performed at 88 Evergreen.
Okay. Wow.
So the whole Jersey thing was cool. We didn't do any Long Island spots though. I didn't have a car back then, you know. You know. And Long Island Railroad was a little bit too long for me. So let's see. Yeah, but every gig that we could do, we did. And then there was a moment in 1985, Tyrone went away for something. He never told us, but that's when he ended up doing the video with Jody Watley, Still a Thrill. And then his career just took off again. You know, he choreographed for the Isley Brothers. He choreographed for Taylor Dane. He choreographed for Jody Watley. He choreographed for the Whispers, I think it was. Was it the Whispers? I know definitely the Isley Brothers. He choreographed for them. And and the big one, and he ended up being the chaperone for New Kids on the Block.
Oh, okay.
So he choreographed them, and he told me the funniest story. Actually, it's online. I was looking it up, and one of the members that said, yeah, you know, Tyrone was the funniest dude. He would always tell me, you know, you're offbeat. And I can just visualize see him now. He said, you're offbeat. He goes, oh no, dog, we're gonna fix you. And he put him over there. Oh God.
That's
God. Yeah. But no. But the 80s was great. And then we did a party called Love Light. You remember that? It's on 30. It was 33rd and 10th Avenue.
I remember Love Light.
Love Light. We did that, and that's when Jeffrey Daniels was in town from Shalimar, and Jeffrey and Tyrone were roommates in LA. They're like brothers, you know. So Jeffrey would come down, and Jeffrey had seen us do our thing, and it was so funny. David Morales was there that day too, and I remember David said, "Yo, y'all guys were dope, but I don't know what y'all were dancing to. That music was whack, but y'all were dope." I love it. I love it.
That's honesty right there.
I love it for real. Oh God.
He can't help himself.
Good. And you know what? And when we were leaving the place, Louis Vega ran up to us and said, listen, dude, I want to get, you know, gave his number to Tyrone. Said, listen, I want to do a track on it. We never followed up on that. Who knew? You know, who knew? But back in those days, it was really weird because A&R people would always go to these music events and so on. So catch this. This is so funny. That's why when I look back, I can't really be mad at it. But you know, I think it was A&M Records. Yeah, A&M Records. They were interested in us because they saw us do the show at the Tunnel. But it was very like this. Yo, we see you on Friday, but Monday morning it's like, oh, yeah, you guys, yeah. You know, so it was very like that. I mean, how many people you know, Antonio, that were in A&R that they passed on it? Look, with George Morel, they passed on Wiggle It.
Yeah,
I used to work at a record label in the 90s, and I passed on a big record that I'm still embarrassed to this day.
Oh, which one? Which one? You gotta let me know. You gotta let me know.
The Eddie Amador House. What is it? A house record. Not everybody knows house music. It's a spiritual thing, a body thing.
Oh, that one?
I had that on my hands.
A body thing. Wow.
I had the record because I felt like it was a disco loop that he just took. I loved the vocal, but he just took a disco loop and I knew I made a mistake when I went to Body and Soul and they were playing it, and I saw the reaction and I said, "Oh, I fucked up."
But you know, I got to ask you a question. I know it's not too far off the rails, but being A&R, that has to be the most difficult position to be in. Because what do you do? Do you go with your gut, or do you just go with what you think other people will like?
It's both, and you just it's both. It's so many things involved. You got to go out and hustle, look for the producers, look for the artists. It's just so much involved, and I just. Well, you know, you win some and you lose some, and I know I've heard stories from a lot of people who had the record in their hand of the lifetime and they just passed on it.
It happens,
you never know, and it happens. And like I said, when I went to Body and Soul and I'm walking in, my body, I'm happy, and then they play that record, I'm like, oh, and I see the crowd, and I see the crowd reaction. This was around 95. When that came out in 97, 98. When did that record come out? 99 something. I saw the crowd reaction. I was like, oh shit, that's fucked up.
I'm sure you signed some that were good though.
Yeah, I did a lot of stuff, but man, that was.
You can hear the soundtrack of your life go. Wah, 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 wah.
You don't want to hear that record, right?
That was it. And the dude was telling me, and what's fucked up, the dude was telling me, you got to put this out. You got to take it. What's fucked up is I asked somebody else, a well-known DJ, what he thought about it, and they didn't give me a positive feedback, so I went with that as well. I'm not gonna name any names, but that
happened to me with something else.
Antonio.
Yeah, it was something else. Is not that type of thing, but it's music related, and I listened to him, and I paid the price, man.
Wow.
Well, you live and you learn, you know.
So Archie. Sorry, your Check Your Body at the Door was around 91.
Yes.
Were you teaching at the time?
Yes, Sally Summers is the reason why I was teaching internationally.
So when did that start? When was the first time you taught internationally?
91.
Okay, so that's
she's the one who suggested that she would like me to go to the Netherlands.
Wow.
And teach in a school called SNDO with David Newman. And I went. And then the next year, they brought me back, and I went with Willie Ninja. I got real good footage of that one.
Oh,
we recorded the whole thing, the whole session, you know.
So how was your experience teaching the first kids from another country?
Wow. Well, I gotta be real. That school wasn't the school for people to dance on beat. So it was a bit difficult.
It was a challenge just to get them on beat.
Yeah,
and especially it was new to them and stuff. So
yeah, and you know, because
gotta be something that's inside of you too. Sometimes, you know?
Did they know the music already? Did you introduce them to dance music, house music? Did they listen to that stuff?
I brought vinyl.
Yeah,
I brought like I was telling you guys before. Back in those days, you know, I'm a kid from the loft, so we collect the music. So I selected specific records, and I took them with me, and I packed them, and I took them with me over there to play.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you. So we're already into the international thing, teaching. A kid comes up to you, you know they can't dance, but they're hungry to learn. Do you think can they still get it?
Of course. I tell them, listen, guys, if you can walk, you can dance. If you can walk, you can dance.
Especially if they're hungry, like you're saying, Douglas. They got that drive. They're teachable.
But the thing I think messes up a lot of the kids is that when you get too anxious, you anticipate, you know, because you want it so bad. It's like you just have to commentate. Just chill.
Let it flow.
Yeah, and what you're trying most of the time to do is to get their excitement down to here.
Yeah.
And then they got it. Now, I always tell people, if you're going to learn something, you have to learn it from that side first. Like if you want to learn salsa, you cannot learn salsa from Brooklyn. You got to go where it is first. You got to go in the Latino hood, and you got to go there first. Learn it from that side.
So that was my next question. When you're teaching these kids who have no knowledge of the history of this music, do you also have to teach them the history?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't
because in the early 90s, there was no such thing as YouTube. So basically, they're really learning everything from the teacher.
Yeah.
So I became an ambassador to these cultural styles that we have here at home. You know, because back in those days, they were trying to get VCR tapes and try to how do you say make copies of copies of copies that would be all grainy so that they can just get some information. By the time 1994 came, when I went to Paris, kids were spinning on their heads. And I was like, but that shit is old. But they got it 10 years later, you know? Now, mind you, they were doing it really well, but it was just 10 years old. 10 years old. It's like, you know, locking, really nobody locks in New York, like the lockers. But in Europe, that thing is like crazy.
Yeah. They embraced it.
They did. Here's the power of American culture. We all have to realize, you know, American culture, as far as music is concerned, and certain trends have affected the whole world, you know, and the moment you can have a medium to somebody see it, because back in those days, what was the best thing you're going to do? Either you travel over there or somebody slipped you a VCR tape that had a little something.
Yeah.
And then what the kids do, you try to figure it out, put it, rewind, play, rewind, play, rewind, play, and then you try to fill in the blanks. That's just what we do.
Let me ask you this: as far as dance, is it similar to like with music? I know that lots of times we get more appreciation overseas than here in the United States. Is it the same in music?
I would say.
I mean, is it the same in dance?
I would say yes, yes, because in European countries, dance is more funded. At least the dancing that we do, the social, or let's say, urban is such a weird term they use these days that they're even having problems with that. You know, well, what is urban? So I'll just say dancing of the people, the dancing of the youth, the dancing of the youth. That is the thing that will perpetuate all of this stuff, and it has always throughout all time. And when you go to Europe, the American thing is just so precious. When they're getting it firsthand, they appreciate it more.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially you guys.
Say again.
I don't think you guys get enough credit, because not only are you teaching dance, you're teaching history, cultural history.
Well, we have to.
Yeah,
I mean, I know there's some that don't care about that, you know, but we have to, because I've learned there's a lot that's lost in translation.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's
the same thing as in music. People, and some believe that people would not want to know the history of the music they're producing. Like they say house music. If you don't want to know the history of house music, how can you really create house music?
Exactly. I'm gonna tell you guys, I had the pleasure in Germany with Juan Allure. I had the pleasure to meet George Kranz.
Wow.
And we sat down and we hung out, bought him a beer and all this other stuff.
He's gonna
laugh at this.
I still play that record to this.
You know what I was going to ask him, right?
Shit.
You know what I was going to ask him.
How did that come up?
I said, George, now, you know, he's chilling. I'm saying, George, how in the world did that record come to your head? You going to laugh. He said, wait, I got to find a picture to show it to you this way. You're going to laugh, because he said, well, honestly, that's how I tune my drums. I said, what? He goes, boom, 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 boom. That's how he tunes his drums.
And that's like
ding da da ding da da. Yeah, I could hear it. Yeah. People have an ear. People got to have a good ear for music, and
we're bugging out. And I'm going, you mean that? And I had to tell him. I said, George, you have no idea how that has changed the dance scene. That huge record.
I still play that. I still keep that handy, man.
Yeah, that's just a big one.
He told me the craziest thing. He said, you know, Archie, I couldn't even sell that in Germany.
Wow.
Nobody.
Record has a lot of soul.
Yeah, we ate that. We ate that shit up.
Hell yeah, that record has so much soul, rhythm, and soul in it.
He said nobody wanted it. Then it went to Italy, and then somebody from Italy sent it over to New York, and New York is where it blew up.
That was
And
huge.
then when New York made the record, it came back to Germany.
Yeah.
So it's like you're saying, you have to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
Let me ask you this: is there any country that actually that you found that the kids actually grasp the dancing better than anywhere else? Because I know Russian girls nowadays. I know Russian they have an amazing history of ballet dancing and all that. They're great dancers.
Yeah, that I would say on a let's say on a there's two sides of the coin. On a technical note, and then on a funky note.
Okay.
On a technical note, the Asian countries are on point. On a technical note,
Like Japan and Korea.
Japan, they love that shit in Japan.
On a funky note, I would have to say places like
France,
Paris. Yeah.
France, London.
Yo, London is off the chain. Oh my God. I was shocked.
I could see that.
London was so fat that
I'm just glad that you're sharing your knowledge.
Yep, I got it there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mr. Dindada himself.
I'm just glad that someone like you, man, is out there.
I'm blessed, man.
Sharing the history, sharing the knowledge. And there's not too many people that I know that are more deserving, man, more deserving than you.
I try.
One of the things that attracts me to you is your heart. You're such a good, it's a gift. I've learned through life. I'm going to stray off a little bit, but I've learned through life that it's a gift to be able to be happy for other people, and not hate, and just genuinely feel happy for other people's success. I have that gift. I know I have that gift, and I realize it's a gift. The older I got, I realized, a lot of people just not like that. And you're one of those people, man. And I love that about you, Archie. You're always encouraging people. You get to know him, Doug. I'm telling you, man, he will up you, always positive, always supporting. I love that about you.
Well, thank you. I think it takes too much energy to be like I'm gonna go Dark Vader. It's too much energy to be on the dark side, Luke.
You know.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, just be happy for other people's success, man, and up
for real. Because you know what, eventually, we all get our flowers. We do. Is when people start bugging out and thinking, "Oh, all the flowers are only for me." That's
exactly. I want to share my flowers.
Wait, do you? Okay, I have to digress there a little. When we were kids, we used to watch way too many cartoons, and there was a cartoon where Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, where he found some gold, right? And Daffy Duck started hitting Bugs Bunny over the head. Mine. I'm rich. I'm wealthy. I'm independent.
I remember that one.
Reminded me of that. It just reminded me of that. Oh my God, too funny. But I wish though I did document a lot more back then because we weren't aware because we were just so busy living our lives. We didn't think that there was anything to document.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. The kids now, they don't lose anything in documentation, but they may lose an experience.
Yeah.
Because if you're too not in the moment and you're too busy like click.
Yeah.
You miss it, this is the one I wanted to show you. So this was the joke. I said, I look that good.
Yeah. The diesel.
The funny thing is I didn't have a
you're not far from that now though. You're still not far from that. You stay in shape.
I'm trying to keep there, Miss COVID done mess up everybody.
Yo, we were talking about that in the last when we interviewed Hector Romero. We was talking about how COVID just changed everything,
I have to honestly say, I think when people spend too much time by themselves and start rerunning the videotapes in their head, weird kind of demons come out, man, because a lot of people are going cuckoo loco, man.
Well, it was a bad time if you're single, because man, at least if you have family and you to be quarantined up and in pandemic, I can't imagine being single and just being alone and people are just.
I know people that went through that, man, and they really
wow.
They become all QAnon and whatever.
And you know, it's funny you mentioned that. I did a song. I haven't put it out yet. It's gonna come out on my next album with Toshi, and it's about. And we did it during the height of the pandemic, and it's all about. It's called Baleka, which means in her language it means run.
Whoa!
And it's about isolation and running as far away and as fast as you can away from isolation.
Wow!
And, yeah, it's crazy.
That's meaningful stuff. That's why your album is so wonderful, because when you took the time to do it, you chose it from a point of reality as opposed to, let me see what I think somebody would like. Those things never really work. When you force things like that, I've learned that also in dance. In dance, if it doesn't,
let me ask you this though, real quick. As far as the whole Willie Ninja thing and that whole Voguing thing, tell us about an experience that really stands out for you.
To go to see throughout. Well, I'm the guy that built this stuff for 2008 for all of Europe. It was the event called Funkin' Styles. So the mothers and fathers of the scene in Europe were there from the very first, and I've been nurturing them since. So now they have scenes in their countries. For me, it's to go to a country to see a ball. I'm on the judges panel and I'm watching all of these kids living their lives and getting support from everybody in the crowd. So it's not a thing like, you suck, shade, chop. When we chop with love. What that means is that this is where you are in your journey now. Good one. When you come back the next time, you're going to have a certain amount of growth because you want to grow, But see, a lot of people that don't understand that, they interpret it the other way. Oh, I'm using this opportunity to embarrass you. You know what I mean? That's what all this.
I've seen that. I've seen it.
Like, I don't like that bitch. I can't stand her. No, come on, man. It's not. Here's the thing. When you start using the same systems that you're fighting against within your own bubble, you're no better than the system that's telling you you've got no worth.
Yeah.
I think people lose sight of that. That's why it's always important to tell history. It's always important that whenever you teach something, you have to teach where it's from, why it actually happened, and out of the look. When I saw that film Rise about Crumpin, and then when they went really deep from Crumpin to clowning and all of that other stuff, there were real sociological things that happened to make those kids wanna get all of that angst out. You just don't imitate it and then, and expect that to be it. But then we also have that part of the scene too, Antonio. It's like if somebody comes to you and you take on a kid and you teach him how to spin, right? And let's say you teach him how to spin for a week, right? And now they have these things with the computers. So, you don't even have to beat match like how you do with the record now. You just click. So now the kid runs off and now the kid is like, I'm DJ Supreme, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And you're going, okay. And they say, and my man Anthony showed me that. And he's doing some other thing that you never even want to even put your name on it. It's like, I didn't show you that. That happens a lot.
Let me ask you this about, let's take that into dance. That since house music dancing is global.
Yes.
Kind of global phenomena. And what do you briefly mentioned it before, how these kids watch YouTube videos and all of us, that's how they learn.
Yes.
But then they become teachers.
Ooh, okay.
And what do you think about that? And I'm sure that's happened.
Well, okay, I'm going to be honest. A lot of them, it's an avenue. Okay, we're going to start with the good points. The good points are this. These kids are doing things that we never could do, which is Back in those days, you could never buy cars, have a house, make income, steady income as a dancer doing what we do, period.
Right.
We could not have a business like that, period. So I give the kids kudos for figuring out that, oh, I can make money doing this and sustain a pretty okay life. Not great, but a pretty okay life. Now, that being said, is you have to do your research. You can't go ahead and teach Vogue and you don't know nothing about Vogue. So I said, well, you don't want anybody to come to you and say, baby, I don't know about your Vogue, but your vague is fierce. You know, nobody telling you that. Oh, you vague over. You don't know nobody telling you that. But by the same token, sooner or later, the real cat is going to walk in the room. What are you going to do?
Exactly.
A lot of them run and hide. Like, for instance, if you go to the country and you know this is a particular city and you're there to give a workshop, that teacher should be in your workshop because that teacher is doing something incorrect. But the teacher won't show up. I had so-and-so. Let me tell you who taught me this. Tony Basil. Very same Tony Basil. Good friend of mine. Oh, Mickey.
Amazing dancer.
Amazing. She's 78 and
still dancing. There's videos of her still dancing. Amazing.
You know, she told me, both of you, she told me this. She said, Archie, you're never too old to take class. And I went, wow.
That's right.
Yeah. I was in LA. That woman came to my class. She took my class and I'm looking at her. I'm all nervous and shit. Tony? She said, go ahead. I'm like, Bubba. So at the end of the thing, I said, Tony, you're Tony Basil, honey. Why you want to take my class? That's what she said, Archie. You're never too old to take class. She stays in the loop. She knows what the cutting edge is. She's always there. And I'm like, wow.
78?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Archie.
Yeah.
It's a little not so personal, but
no, that's all right.
You're a straight man. How was it for
raised in a gay scene? Yep.
How was that for a straight man to navigate the underground, the Vogue scene, the ball scene, which is predominantly gay? How was that? How was that?
Why do you think I got into bodybuilding? Because here's the thing about men. Men always scan other men, right? And they always assume it a sign of weakness if you're not anything maybe like a physical threat.
Right.
You know? So when I got into dance, I was already skinny. But when I figured out if I got into bodybuilding, it would keep other men away from me, you know, because I lived in Crown Heights. And Crown Heights, you know, back in the 70s, it was bad. If you look weak,
it's bad.
Automatically, they're going to, and I wasn't that kind of kid. I was raised in a religious home, do what my mommy and daddy says, you know what I mean? I wasn't trying to be, yo, motherfucker. I couldn't do that. So next minute I know, you know, people in junior high school were picking on me because I didn't have that demeanor. So I figured out if I got bulk and size, they would look at me and go, oh, I may have a problem with this dude, so let me leave him alone.
Yeah.
That's the main reason why I started lifting.
Yeah.
And then and then after I started lifting, I began to like it. So, you know, it kind of ended up being a benefit to help me not be that little scared boy that people was always going to try and attack me or use me as their, as I would say, use me as their position of male bravado, as to say, you know what? Yeah, I'll overpower you, you know. And I'm like, I'm not like that. That's not me. What? So I had to try to adopt a personality that was not mine, just to keep.
And especially growing up in New York, man, that was just, it's like,
yeah,
you had to be tough.
Yeah,
at least look tough.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going for, the look.
Yeah.
I was going for the look. You know, I'm a pussycat, but I was going for the look, man. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Now, I do admit, you know, it's a very New York thing. It says, listen, leave me alone, leave me alone, leave me alone. But if you want to go here, if I get fucked up, you getting fucked up. Now, that's a New York thing. You know? And Antonio, you know the beautiful thing about our scene, Doug, you may not believe this. We don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't fight. We don't do
Not about that.
none of that shit.
Not about
For
that.
a bouncer that works any of parties that we do, it's great because he's getting free money the whole night long.
Right.
Yeah.
But the bar, but the owners don't want our kind of parties in there because we don't support the bar like that because we're not drinking like fishes
Like we used to.
out. Exactly. So that's why another reason why these spaces were always under attack, because it's great to have a house party there or the kind of party that we do, but you're not really making no money as a business owner, you know. So you have to either be really in love with the culture to go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So were there a lot of male straight Vogers when you were back in the early 80s or mid 80s?
Not many. Not many.
Not many, right?
Not many, because you know how it is being male. You know, I mean, you know, fellas give you heat.
Yeah.
They give you heat, and they'll always test you. They'll always test you. You know, so if you present yourself in a way that you switch up on them like that, that's to bug people out. I would fan out like this, and that's me like, what the fuck? Like, oh, shit. They're like, leave them guessing. You leave them guessing, they leave you alone.
What about the Vogue scene in Europe? Are there a lot of males in the
oh yeah,
straight?
yeah, now
there are. Right?
No, because here's the thing. I always tell people what I represent is a possibility. As long as that possibility exists, you'd be surprised how when I start doing my thing, a lot of straight men come up to me and go, yo, I never knew you could do that, because that does not look gay to me. And then I had to tell them, I said, listen, whenever it comes to dance and movement, the moment you start discriminating against movement, that's the beginning of the end.
That's true.
That's like music. You know, if you listen to East Indian music, if you discriminate against that, all of those polyrhythms, you're not even going to be inspired by. You're going to be going, that's the beginning of the end. You can't do that. You know,
it's true.
It's true. And you know, and they go, oh, and then when the real hardcore ones like, I said, listen, I'm going to tell you something. It might mess you up for the rest of your day. But do you know that every man is born from a woman? Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, so imagine this. If you don't honor both of your sides, you're not honoring yourself, and you're not fully accepting yourself for who you are.
Right.
And they're going, I'm not saying you're feminine. Listen to what I'm saying. Every man has a mom. And my wife used to tell me this funny joke, which was, if you want to know how a man's going to treat you, see how he treats his mother.
Exactly.
Oh, I heard that before.
I got that from a woman, and she told me.
Yeah. Woman told me that before.
You know?
That's a good lesson for all the ladies out there. That's a good lesson for ladies to learn about any prospective husbands.
A friend of mine said that about me. She said she saw how I was with my mother, and she told me that.
Exactly.
And she said that was one of the things she really admired about me. You know, I was with my mother.
There you go.
But even in the 80s, that's all. In the 80s, it was a rough time in New York.
Yeah, but you got to understand now, the underground is a special place.
Right. It was so. The underground was just so mixed that it was made for it. It was outcast. It was
And don't get me wrong. And after we look, Manhattan was always considered like neutral territory. When you start going to other boroughs, that's where like I really didn't want to really party in Brooklyn, but I did do the ozone layer. The ozone layer was hot because you know it took all of that loft and garage feel by the people who were inspired by that to create these spaces. There was another place called Panoramas in Brooklyn, 515 Waverly Street, Waverly Avenue. That was considered kind of like the garage of Brooklyn. You know, they had that same feel, but it's how we get infected by this special culture, why we want to spread it. Because I'm gonna tell you, and Antonio remembers when the garage closed, everybody was lost.
Yeah,
they were like, "Yo, what
do we do now?
What we do?"
Yeah,
and because of those influences of how we grew up, I mean, look at Antonio, look at Louis Vega, look at all these other people that were inspired by this special thing that we shared that impacted their life in such a way that to some degree it's always there in some form or another that enhances your life. You know, And this goes totally against what my mother's belief was, which was, oh, well, you know, that's the devil's work.
Yeah.
Well, I don't feel like the devil, you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that perpetuates this thing. Now, yes, we're like the living history books to tell the younger people about what it was like, what the conditions were, because remember, society plays a big part in how all of us were raised. You know, your experiences, like if you're trying to not get into a gang, because back in the day it was the black spades, the tomahawks, the 5%ers, and I forgot what.
Bachelors.
There were so many back in the day.
Savage Skulls.
Savage Skulls. And you didn't want to be part of that. I didn't want to be part of that. But as a male, you don't want to look like no punk either, because then you become a victim. So luckily for me and a lot of us, like Antonio said, when we found the underground, that was home.
Yeah.
You know, you could just you know what it's like being like this all in the head, and then you go someplace and you just go, ah.
Yeah. Just be yourself.
That's what it was like.
That's how you dance. It doesn't matter. Wear whatever you want to wear. Just be yourself, you know.
That's right. And you could tell in the 80s, we ain't wearing no clothes. It was bicycle shorts, color t-shirts.
Poom poom shorts.
Yeah, I started clubbing in the late 80s. The Tunnel, 88, 87.
The Tunnel.
Oh my God. The Tunnel was my spot. Oh, the Tunnel is when I opened my eyes when I went to the Tunnel, and this was like in 88.
Yeah, I never.
Wow.
I knew about it, but I never went.
Then it really opened.
No, I never went to the Tunnel.
No.
Man. During those years, I was in a whole nother place, man.
Gotcha.
Then the Red Zone opened.
Starting a family, went back to college.
Wow.
Yeah, I was still doing into music, but not on the same level, you know.
I was heavily into clubbing in the late 80s, and Red Zone, Sound Factory.
And Red Zone turned,
Tunnel.
Crazy like that. I remember all of that. Red Zone then turned into Emerald Green.
Yep. Yeah, I don't even, really?
City. Turned into Emerald City. Yep.
Oh, Emerald City? No, Emerald City?
It changed its name. First it was the Red Zone. The Red Zone stood for a while, then it turned into Emerald City.
No, Emerald City was in another spot. It was up in the 50s, but it wasn't the same place.
I don't know.
It wasn't the same place. You can look at the address. I went to Emerald City. It's not the same place. Okay. I've been to Emerald City. Back in those days, I actually did house dancing, but we did it for the wrong reasons. We did it to attract girls because.
Well, that's what everybody. Well, mostly everybody did.
Yeah. So that
every reason is good. It's valid.
Yeah. So that was the reason we did our house thing, but you know, it worked. It attracted the girls like flies. Like it was so easy.
It's like the song says, "By the way you dance."
Bunny Sigler.
But there were real dancers that really took it serious. We didn't take it serious. We took it we want to get the girl at the club, but there were dancers that really took it beyond the taught.
That's another thing. Going in one way, coming out another. And we're talking like over 8 hours.
Yeah.
When you tell these kids this now, they're going, what? No. Go in at midnight, leave 1 o'clock the next afternoon. They're like, what?
Some people got there at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
There you go.
No, there was a time for a long time I used to go to Fun House. I mentioned this in one of our other segments. I would go to the Fun House, then leave there around 6 or 7 and go to the Loft to like 2, 3.
Wow.
And the Fun House was totally opposite of the Loft. So I went from one extreme to the other.
Yep. And that's
for years I did that.
See, but and so you needed it. You needed it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. You know. So where the music's concerned is that no matter where you are, you collect all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, now, yes, there were some DJs that didn't really want you to get their music, because for them it was like, there were a lot of DJs back then that had the biggest egos,
they still have big egos. They still have big egos.
And it's like, what I can do about the crowd, what I can do. And the truth of the matter is, if you give 10 DJs 10 same records, they're gonna all play them differently. So what's the issue? you know. But
so let me ask you this, Archie. You're going since you were there from the beginnings of the house dancing.
mhm.
What did you see? How did it evolve from the 80s, from like the more garagey sound to when it started going into real house music, late 80s, early 90s? What did you see in the moves? I don't know if I'm explaining, but how did you
No,
see
I
the
know.
dance evolve? How did you see it evolve?
Well, before in the 80s, it wasn't, we used to call the kids grasshoppers because they would just be jumping up and down. That's when a lot of the kids came from hip hop and the Chicago sound had come in, and they started doing this thing they called jacking and all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They were just jumping around like rabbits.
Right.
You know, for us who were already in the loft, we were already smoothed out. We thought that kind of stuff was a bit too extra, you know, just too much energy like that. But even those kids, when they came to the spaces that we were, all that energy got smoothed out. For example, Sound Factory Bar. Downstairs where Camacho would be playing, the grasshoppers would be down there, but the rest of us would be like upstairs where Louis Vega was playing, you know, and Barbara Tucker was the host.
Right.
And that whole scene, you know, those grasshoppers got smoothed out downstairs. So it's just one of those things. Each generation brings their energy to a movement. Now, if the older generation is not there, they won't be able to make the connection.
Right.
And it totally becomes something else.
Right.
That's what I mean by being in translation.
That's a good point.
One of the things I see, one of the things I see, and I think is, you know, because of social media and the internet and YouTube and all, I see more younger people getting into certain types of dances, like locking and.
Well, it's global now. It's a global. One of the things that made it not just the social media. A lot of the like Archie and a lot of the old school dancers started going globally. Ejo, all these guys started teaching worldwide. So
and even Voguing, I see young kids doing Voguing.
Young. Young, real young. Now, I had a situation where I had to explain the culture. I was in Italy. I was in Riccione, and the issue that I had is that you know, all kids want to do what older kids do. I get it. So there was these younger kids, younger than 16, that wanted to do Vogue Femme, and I have a thing about, you know, kids see sexuality every day, but if you push sexuality on kids, I have a little issue with that. I'm old school that way. So, but what I had to say, I had to stop the ball, and I said, listen, guys, you have to understand, Vogue is an adult's game. It's an adult's game. Now, in your country, you say 16 is of legal consent. I personally think that's too young, but that's me. But that's me. So these kids can do certain aspects of Vogue, but the sexuality stuff, you cannot do. And I don't support that. And the parents are like, yeah. But I said, but you have to understand, if y'all don't protect your kids, we have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, we have to. You know, see a little girl walking up there in booty shorts, half her ass is out, and she's like, what, not even 11? No, you can't do that. That's why pictures with kids twerking at 5 and 7.
That's not good. And that's the parents. That's the parents' fault.
And I get it. They go, oh, that's cute. Let me tell you, cute today, problem tomorrow. No.
Exactly.
Nope. And I'm not just being, I guess, the prude in the room or old-fashioned in the room. I think everything has its time. Let's put it that way. So, as you were saying, yes, they get really young doing that, and I have to. The people that are teaching them, that if they came under me, I give them the very same speech. Like, for instance, I was in Sweden. There were two girls there. I've seen them in the scene over and over again. I think in Europe, and I think one was 14 at the time, and the other one might have been 12. And their mothers come in with the beautiful, you know, fur coats and stuff, and you know, they're from the Baltic country and something, and you know, so Sanaya is giving a class, and she's speaking about, you know, culture. He said, oh, you know, when you're with your man, you know, when you're feeling, you're feeling pussy, you're feeling, and the two girls go, cunt. and I look at them like this. And then I had to stop myself. Said, Archie, this is not your class. This is not your class. So after that, I had to speak to the teacher and say, listen, you know, and I get what the teacher, but Archie, we're not covering up the truth. I said, yes, but if little one and little two are in the room, you're only going to give them a certain amount of information. Because if the parents ain't protecting them, we got to protect them.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, right.
You don't want them going down said, oh, well, Archie said blah, blah.
Yeah.
No. So that answers that question.
Yeah.
So what out of all the dance styles, which is your favorite? What's your favorite dance style?
Everybody asks me that too. And I have to say the same thing. It depends on my mood. And it depends because what they don't teach dancers is this. As you age, your body goes under different conditions. And I look at it this way. It always gives you an opportunity to create new movement. Right. So let's say when I was in my early 20s, I would do all that crazy jumping around and doing things, putting my body at stress. But if it's more painful now, those things I don't do that often, and I just choose other movement. So for instance, if I threw my hips out, then I do hustle, because hustle is low impact. You know, if I threw my hips out, if I'm having, yeah, buddy, if I'm having a really good day, I put my knee braces on and I'll bust it out. You know, so it depends on what happens. But this situation always happens too. When there's a jam that I like and my body's not ready, I
think it's important as we age that we need to keep on moving no matter what.
Yeah.
As we get older, we just got to keep it moving, man.
I look, in January 3rd, I'll be 63, and it's still, knock on wood, still here.
Still here, man.
So I look at it this way.
Dang.
It ain't over till it's
I'm so proud of you, man. A fellow lofter doing this thing, man. I'm so happy and proud of you, man.
And you're still teaching worldwide, right? You still go overseas.
Yeah.
Actually, this Friday, I'm going to San Diego to do a dance contest over there called Wild 7. You know, and I'll be doing my little demo. So I got a little track that I re-edited because I do that stuff too. It's called and I know, Antonio, you know this. It's a track called I Recognize by Sasha Williams. It's like poetry under a nice, beautiful beat. You know, it's like, oh, I'm gonna do that for.
So you got something in mind, or are you gonna freestyle it? You got something in mind?
Yeah, I'm gonna freestyle it because one thing, that's another thing. One thing the underground teaches you, to go with no fear, be open, let it happen. I don't like to
feel it. You feel it.
Yeah, I don't like to program stuff, only because it teaches the kids that you have to be open and be in the moment and be good with whatever happens. If I fall, if I trip, how do you come out of a step? If you're off balance or anything like that, you got to go with it.
Yeah,
that's what we learned you know what I used to call what we do? The art of being off balance. That's what I used to call it back in the day.
That's good. I like that. I like that.
So now that dance music is dancing to all the different styles, whacking, voguing, is worldwide. Where do you see it going from there? From now,
that's going to be in the kids' That's going to be in the kids' hands, because you know.
Good answer.
That, you know, but it's true, because I think dance is always related to the time that you're living in and the social conditions that you're living in. Think about it. In the 60s, that there was that war. Vietnam was going on 12 years. They didn't know if they were going to live or not. You know, people got high because they were like, yo, you know, we don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow. The message is in the music when they say, you know, if you can't be with the one you love the one you're with, because you don't know if you're going to be around tomorrow. So it created a certain kind of, yeah, man, nah, chill. You know, that's the old people's war. That's not ours. You know, a lot of people ran to Canada because they didn't want to get drafted. I got drafted at 12, and that shit was a mistake. But I still remember coming to my house. I'm like, mommy, I don't want to go. Terrified, terrified. So dance is always related, and how people socialize with each other is always related in the time that they're living in.
I just recently saw an article how the ballroom dance, the scene is it's growing worldwide. It's even in Colombia.
Absolutely, and those are my kids.
What do you think about the
They
had something on? It was this year with what's the name? The Stallion. She was a judge.
Oh, legendary! Yeah.
How'd you like that?
I was there the first season. I was there. I look at it this way. I like I was saying. It's television, meaning they took an idea, but they didn't take all of the idea. Because here's the thing: ballroom is entertaining enough. You don't need to put your own spin in that to make it like palatable. Because we've lived in a country so long where we've had so much shit that was told to us that was not real. Why didn't you put the real thing out there? If you put the real thing out there, allow it to happen. I think they're moving towards that because now they have more money to put in the costumes, and because I was behind the scenes, I know exactly what went on with the show. But all of that stuff, I think it's good for representation. Now I tell the kids this: even though if you think it's whack, you got to show up. And you know why? Because here's the thing, and if whoever's watching this goes across the board. If you do not show up when these opportunities arrive, and let's say, well, yeah, these companies, they don't really care about us. You allow somebody else to control your narrative.
Yeah.
You have to be present.
And there's
exactly. And always there's a part to play. And there's always a way to maintain a level of integrity within a situation.
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure that out.
Yeah.
Just don't pass it up.
Yeah, because if you don't do it, somebody else is going to take it, and they're going to get the shine. Somebody else is going to take it.
Yeah. And who knows? And that person may represent something that beat a stereotype.
Absolutely right.
I mean, we're all here to be the best versions of we are every day. But with this thing called the media, you have to think a little bit beyond the ball. What do you represent? What do you say?
They had some amazing dancers on that. I saw the whole series, the last one. Oh. One of the judges was the one that invented that thing when they drop.
That's Naomi. Yeah, she's the bomb. I know her.
Every time I see them do that, I'm like, that shit look like it hurt, man.
This is an art.
It just dropped, bam. I'm like, how? How do you do it? I get hurt.
You won't be doing that in the 50s, but it's an art form. It's an art.
And I think it's pretty amazing that whole ballroom scene is so worldwide now. Like I said, I'm Colombian myself. When I saw the article, I was like, wow, this is great. This is amazing.
And if you read the article, they mentioned my name.
Really? I didn't read the article. I saw the headline and I saw the pictures and I said, wow, ball scene.
Well, one of the things I want to tell you, Archie, is to check out Doug Gomez's music. He's doing some amazing music.
Ooh,
thank you.
Check him out, man. I'm telling you.
Ooh, spread it up. Spread it up.
Absolutely representing, bro.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you.
Putting out some good quality stuff. So definitely check him out, man.
Thank you. And that means a lot coming from Antonio. Let me tell you.
Excellent.
Yo, I'm picky.
I'm
hard, bro. When it comes to music, I'm tough.
But
call a spade,
So
I'm one of those that believe that there's such a thing as good music and bad music.
Yeah, definitely. Antonio's one of them.
Don't agree with that, but I believe that. But no, he's definitely check out his music. We're here to support you, Archie. Like whatever we can do, to support you. We're here.
Same here. Because if I have it, I pass it on. I know that.
Archie, I got one last question.
Yes, sir.
What advice do you give someone straight or gay who want to get into voguing or want to get into dancing, but they don't know how? They may not even be in New York. They could be anywhere in the world. How do they get into it?
Well, one, I would say do things for the right reason. If it's for your empowerment and your enjoyment, always investigate it. Now there are classes. Before there were not. I mean, before the club was the classroom.
Right.
But even I'm saying the club was a classroom, you have to utilize this in places and spaces where the club exists. You just cannot do that in your living room and say,
good point.
I'm it. That's not it. And dance is for everyone.
Yeah.
So don't ever let anybody ever tell you you can't do this and you can't do that. If that was the case, Black people shouldn't be using a bathroom that doesn't have Black people only.
Yeah.
Right.
Be drinking out of water fountains. They had no business learning ballet. That's bullshit.
Right.
So when we think about these things, we have to think about everything across the board. You know, dance is for everybody. You have people that will be resistant to you because of the color of your skin, because of what you're doing. All you need to do is be aware.
Or even just dancing the way just the style of dancing, people are going to be like prejudiced or just like, okay, why are you dancing like that? Why you have these feminine moves? Because I myself, when I was young, I loved Vogue, but that was one of the reasons that I didn't do it. Coming up as a Latin kid, straight kid, you know, I didn't want to be. So
you know, the
I'm sure there's a lot of straight kids. I'm sure nowadays that want to do that.
Yeah.
Well, let me
think so, Doug.
Yeah, but let me tell you what the B-boys used to do. The B-boys used to call voguing gay tutting. That's what they did back then, because they were attracted to the lines that were made and all of that. Same medium, hieroglyphics, but how do you interpret it? In tutting, they follow the tut. In Vogue, you already know it's there, so you just don't even look, and it's there. You know, that's
they modified it. They modified it.
That's a simple thing, because you know the way society is. Straight people don't want to be associated with anything that's gay. So the very first thing they do is change the name or change the form so that it feels comfortable for me to do what I need to do. I think society, we're getting to the point where movement is movement. That's not even going to be a criteria anymore. And that's the way it should be, because you stop creativity from your own mental limit, you know? So that's what I would like to tell the kids, you know, know that the possibility exists. And don't be afraid, because the truth of the fact is there's always something to be gained by a little level of risk.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah,
risk. I would like to add to that is that, you know, if you're coming in for the wrong reasons, hopefully you'll end up coming for the right reasons.
Hey.
Like even if you come for the wrong reason, don't stop doing it. Because eventually you start coming for the right reasons. That's the only thing I want to
preach. That's it.
You know what I mean?
I'm with you with that.
Yeah.
3,000%.
Yeah.
Because you never know. You never know. You might come in because the girls. And then next you know you really like it. You're like, yo, I want to do this, you know?
Yeah, for real. So, I mean, most people find things out by accident, you know, and go, damn, I really like this. Okay, let's go. Look, when I started bodybuilding, it was just I started running track and then started lifting weights. And before I knew it, I actually enjoyed the way that felt. I was like, oh, shoot, this is cool. And then you got the fringe benefits from it.
Yeah, there you go.
But remember, like when you do things like for that, when you like in my case, I'll say this last thing. In my case, when you get that body at that particular time of your life, you're going to get attention that you want and attention that you don't want.
Exactly.
So you just have to be aware.
That's
Antonio, anything else?
No, I'm just happy, man. I'm really happy that a fellow lofter has done so much positive stuff with his life, and
I'm trying.
No, you're doing it. You're doing it, and you do it with such grace and humility that I admire you, man. I really admire you, Archie. I have a lot of love. A lot of love and admiration, man.
And someone who loves dance music and dance style, you're definitely one of my favorites, man.
Why, thank you. It ain't over till it's over.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Archie, for being here.
Thank you, Archie.
Thank you, Archie, so much for being here with us.
We'll see each other soon, God willing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah, people.
You want to know more about Archie? Just check him out. You know, take one of his classes.
Instagram is simple.
Are you teaching in New York? Right?
Yeah,
are you teaching
Thursdays? I teach Vogue Thursday at Paradise.
Tell us.
I teach Vogue Thursday, old way, and that is at Paradise, which is 126 East 13th Street, between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Thursdays, 8:10 p.m. to 9:40 p.m. Awesome. Come on down and have a good time.
Thank you so much, Archie. It was definitely a pleasure having you on, man.
You too.
Thank you, Archie.
Hey, this is great.
Next time, y'all. Take care. Good night.
All righty.